All right, let's talk about Wi-Fi 7. It's finally rolling out. And I gotta tell you, this is not just some small incremental update. No, we're talking about what's probably the most ambitious leap forward for Wi-Fi in maybe more than a decade. So what's all the hype about? Let's dig in and see what makes this new generation such a game changer.
Now for this explainer, we're leaning on a really detailed technical report. This is actually part 15 of a huge 20-part series all about Wi-Fi and Bluetooth standards. It's from the folks over at RFI Detectives, which is part of Virtualization Options, LLC. We're going to be zeroing in on the key breakthroughs that make Wi-Fi 7, well, Wi-Fi 7.
Okay, so here's how we're gonna break this down. First up, we'll look at why we even need something new. What are the demands pushing the limits? Then, of course, we'll get into Wi-Fi 7 itself. We'll touch on its main design goal, which is all about extreme performance. After that, we'll dive into a key piece of the tech, something called puncturing. And finally, we'll connect the dots and see what the practical impact really is.
So let's start with the why. Isn't Wi-Fi 6E good enough? Why do we actually need another new standard so soon? Well, the simple answer is that what we're doing with wireless is changing. And it's changing so fast that it's really starting to stretch our current tech to its breaking point.
And look, this isn't about connecting a few more laptops or smartphones. That's not the driver here. The real push is coming from these new, super demanding real-time applications. Think about things like high-resolution extended reality, XR, or industrial automation, where robots need to communicate instantly and flawlessly. And of course, next-gen cloud gaming, where any lag just ruins the experience. For these things, it's not just about getting more speed. It's about having a connection that is absolutely rock-solid and predictable. And that's something older Wi-Fi, well, it just wasn't built for.
So to tackle these huge new challenges, the engineers went back to the drawing board. And what they came up with is the next major evolution. The official name is IEEE 802.11b-E, but you and I are probably just going to call it by its much friendlier name, Wi-Fi 7.
And I really want to stress this point. We are not talking about a minor tweak here. The report we're drawing from calls this the most ambitious revision to the core physical and MAC layers of Wi-Fi since MIMO was first introduced way back with 802.11n. So yeah, to put it lightly, this is a pretty massive overhaul.
Okay, and here's a really important clarification, especially for all you IT pros out there. When we say 802.11b-E, please do not confuse that with the ancient 802.11b standard from the early days. That little E on the end makes a world of difference. Totally different technologies.
And if you're thinking this is all some sci-fi future stuff, think again. This is happening right now. The first part of the standard was actually published back in May of 2024. Wi-Fi 7 certified products? They're already shipping. And we're expecting the full standard to be ratified by the end of this year. So, it's here.
So, okay, it's a huge leap forward. But what was the actual goal? What was the one core mission statement given to the engineers who were designing this whole thing? Well, according to the source material, the mandate was crystal clear. It was to deliver extreme throughput and ultra-low deterministic latency for demanding real-time applications. Now, let's focus on that word deterministic. That is the key right there. It means the connection isn't just fast, it's predictably fast, time after time. Think about it. For a surgical robot or an immersive VR headset, a random lag spike isn't just an annoyance, it's a catastrophic failure. Wi-Fi 7 is specifically engineered to get rid of that unpredictability.
So how does it do it? How does Wi-Fi 7 pull off this amazing, predictable performance? Well, it's got a few really clever new tricks up its sleeve. Let's zoom in on one of the most important ones, a feature that goes by the name of preamble puncturing. What is that? Well, at its core, preamble puncturing is a super smart way to deal with interference. Imagine a Wi-Fi access point wants to use a big, wide channel, but it notices a small piece of that channel is already being used by someone else. In the old days, it might have had to abandon the whole channel. But with puncturing, it can surgically puncture or just cut out that one busy little section and still use all the other clean parts of the channel. Let's walk through how that works. The AP, or access point, targets a nice, wide channel. Think of it like a 4-lane highway for data. But then it detects there's already an older device using just one of those lanes. So what does it do? The AP punctures that occupied lane, basically telling its own traffic to ignore it. And then it goes ahead and transmits on the other 3 lanes, the non-contiguous parts of the channel. It's a brilliant way to maximize the use of the airways we have.
Okay, that's a cool technical trick, but what does it actually mean in the real world? For the networks you're building or managing, what's the practical impact of this puncturing thing?
Well, here's the bottom line. Puncturing means maximized throughput, it means reduced interference, and it means much more efficient use of the spectrum. Basically, Wi-Fi 7 doesn't have to give up on a big channel just because one little part of it is busy. It can intelligently work around the interference, and that results in higher speeds and a way more stable connection, especially in those really crowded wireless environments, like an office building, a dense apartment complex, or even a stadium.
So that kind of brings us to a really interesting question for the future. We've seen the tech, we understand why it's so powerful, but what's going to be built on top of it? As Wi-Fi 7 rolls out everywhere, what do you think will be the first true killer app, the one thing that absolutely could not exist without that deterministic low latency that Wi-Fi 7 finally makes possible?